I'm here back in my garage where I do, I guess, my best work in the sense of where I get to unwind after sessions and do what I'd love to do, which is anything having to do with epoxy or slab work with clay. I have my gym equipment here too. And I encourage you guys to try to find a place that's your own, where you can unwind, because times are very stressful. And I know that a lot of couples, a lot of families are trapped inside and they feel like they're on top of each other. Even if that means making up, a schedule, it might sound clinical, but making up a schedule that says, hey, from 5 to 7, the garage is mine. I just need that quiet time. Maybe your kids need it too. But one thing I wanted to talk about was this idea with couples that I seem to keep running into after 15, 20 years about each other not feeling validated, seen, heard, appreciated. And it's one thing that I feel if we could just understand ourselves a little bit better, we might start to see that these are unrealistic expectations we're putting on our partner. I'm not saying we shouldn't expect kind treatment, support, encouragement, but it starts to get blurry when we say things like, I don't think you love me enough, or I need you to, if you don't do this, that means you don't care enough about me or love me. So we as the individual create a narrative and tie it to an event, and then that becomes our truth. So if your husband or wife doesn't, let's say, come home on time for dinner, then instantly you personalize it, and that means then he doesn't care about me or she doesn't care about me, when really we don't even ask, we don't even know. Maybe he got stopped at a red light, maybe there was an accident, maybe he's just late because he worked a little longer. It could be an infinite amount of reasons. But we personalize, and quickly we just automatically assume. So these assumptions that we don't even speak on, because couples are feeling like they're walking on eggshells, and I don't want to say anything because if I do, it's just going to cause, an argument, and so let's just avoid. So everyone's just avoiding everything. But the resentment's building and building and building and building. My suggestion is always to couples, hey, why don't you do the individual work to sift and sort through what are those expectations? Are they rational or irrational? Can I really, truly expect my partner to make me happy? I wouldn't want that put on me. No. Is it realistic to say, if you don't include me in, I don't know, X, Y, or Z event, then that means you don't want me, you're afraid of me in public, or if you don't invite me to go hang out with your friends once in a while. Or, simple things like, we read into everything pretty much. And we're always transferring out or projecting out our frustrations on another. And if we stopped and we realized they're not realistic, it's not realistic. I can love my partner, but I don't even have a clear definition of what love is or means. And I'm pretty sure that my partner doesn't have a clear definition. If I were to ask you, what is love? What's your definition of love? Okay, with 7.5 billion people on this planet, what would you say? Well, love is, love means to be there for someone. It's like, okay, well then travel down that wormhole. What does be there for someone mean? Well, it means to have their back. Okay, well, what does that mean? Nobody knows. But I do know individually what it means to have my own back, be my own advocate, speak my own truth, and I know today how to love myself. And I feel that if I am loving and kind to myself, then that energy exudes to others, regardless if they receive it or not. So that means my partner can be having a bad day, and instead of what I used to do is, are you upset at me? Totally make it about me, right? I see you're not in a good mood. Are you mad at me? Why can't I hold the space to just say, hey, I noticed you're going through something. I'm here if you want to talk about it. but I'll be over here when you're in a better mood. Come hook up with me. Instead of, what can I do? What did I do? What did I do? Making me anxious. And then I actually rob the opportunity to hold the space for my partner because I've got to make things right, or my anxiety is overriding. It's very big of us to assume that everything's about us, right? But that's what we do. That's what we do. Because we can't sit in the uncomfortable feelings, right? And so we're like, well, obviously I didn't do something right. It's like, well, can you think of something you didn't do right? And if you can't, then maybe you didn't. Maybe they're just having a bad day. Maybe they just are upset with something outside of the house. But I'll tell you one thing, when you make it about you, all of a sudden it's like, it just draws the attention right to it. So let's say your husband comes home and he's grumpy or whatever. And you're like, hey, honey, how's your day? And he's like, my day was shit. It was horrible. Is there anything I did? Did I do something? And then what does that do? That brings the focus right to you. No. Why do you always have to assume it's something to do with you? Why can't you just see that I had a bad day? Bam. You just lit the fire. So one of the things that I suggest with couples is, before you jump to assume it has to do with you, maybe challenge that thought and go, hey, let me check with myself first. Am I in alignment? Am I in a place where I feel good about who I am, what I'm doing? When I get out of my lane and go into another's to try to impose my truth and try to pull them out of, say, a mood or try to get them to understand me, I'm only going to be caught with or met with resistance. So when we have statements like, you should do this, and why don't you do this, and I think you should do this, and you need to do that, that's great that you think that. That's wonderful. Maybe the other person doesn't. Maybe the other person thinks you need to be doing it a completely different way. So now we're off to the races with the right and wrong game. I'm right, you're wrong. No, I'm right, you're wrong. And that's a fun one. That frequency is really fun to hang out at. Because guess what? You're both right and you're both wrong. How's that? You're an apple, the other person's an orange. You grew up as an apple, you drove an apple car, you eat apples. And then the thing that attracted you to the orange was that it was different, unique. Because you wouldn't want a boring apple, no. But slowly, apple starts to look at orange looks at apple and says, why can't you be a little more apple? Orange says, why can't you be a little more orange? So it's in the lack of trying to understand each other and always wanting to be understood, just because we have a lack of awareness. We're always trying to get people to get us. Like, no, you don't get me. You don't get me. No, you don't get me. How about I don't get myself? If I need to have people get me, maybe it's because I don't get myself. And then when I do get myself, the need to have others get me starts to dissipate. And so the conversation is, you try to explain something to someone and they're like, I don't quite get it. And you're like, that's okay. There's no need for me to cram down your throat. I can try, to the best of my ability, but I don't need you to see it my way. It'd be nice, but it's not necessary. It's not necessary. So I don't know. Hopefully these were some good pointers, just some observations. And thanks so much. Stay safe and love each other. Talk to you later.